selamat siang Bapak Ibu. Hello everyone. So I might go with English and alternatively in bahasa Bapak Ibu. We will wait for a few more minutes before we start. Thank you for joining us in this online session, sharing session. Okay. So maybe before we start, I would read out the housekeeping rules. Before we officially start, I would just read out some of the housekeeping rules just for the purpose of having to conversate better. We would like you to please edit your name to properly identify yourself and your organization. For example, here, City-Indonesia, and then maybe you can do that. And then by default, participants will be muted on entering the webinar. Participants can unmute themselves to speak. When speaking, start by identifying your name and affiliation or organization. Speak one at a time, be brief, clear, and speak loudly. And please mute your line when not speaking. Sometimes if there's an accident, let's say you are unmuted and you are talking to somebody else, let's say, we as a organizer might mute you from the admin. So apology before, but it is just to make everything smooth. And if you have any question in the middle of the presentation, please write down your question in the chat so we can address it in the Q&A session. Please note as well that we will be recording this webinar. So we thank you for your cooperation for an effective discussion. We will wait for some more people to join in. Maybe we wait for a couple more minutes, if you don't mind. I see some familiar names. Apa kabar Bapak Ibu? I hope you are all in good health despite of this condition. But I think actually online sessions are very productive. Yeah, we can meet together even though we are in different locations. Yeah. Jadi mudah-mudahan we can have a closer knit in this meeting. So I see more people are joining in. Okay. I see people are still joining in, Casper. So we are going to wait a few more minutes here.
Yeah, great.
Bapak Ibu, masih ada beberapa orang yang joining in. Kita tunggu 5 menit lagi deh. Karena kadang-kadang ada kesulitan untuk join ataupun technical difficulties. Oke. Okay, maybe we can start, and maybe later people join in, just can join in. Okay, good afternoon, Bapak Ibu. It is a lovely afternoon and morning in Europe. Hope you are all in good health. My name is Jessica Hanafi, so I will be moderating today's sharing session. So today's sharing session conducted by organized by Lifecycle Indonesia and then also Pre Sustainability. We have here Caspar Hone from Pre Sustainability with us to share the new updates, maybe I would say, SimaPro online platform, even though it's not really new. It has been a couple of years, maybe, yeah. Caspar can explain that later, but it's quite new as well for Indonesia. I think it would be nice to get to know what's in the online platform, in the SimaPro online platform. And also, we're going to have a user meeting, SimaPro user meeting. I believe some of you are either business license, faculty license, PhD license, or even some are people who wants to know more about LCA and what kind of software there is. So without further ado, I would let Caspar to start and probably introduce yourself, Caspar. Maybe a little bit. Pre Sustainability is the developer of SimaPro, if you don't know, but I will let Caspar to explain more about it. Thank you very much. I will pass it over to you, Caspar, to share your screen.
Thank you, Jessica. That's great. My name is Caspar Hone, and indeed I'm joining you today from the Netherlands to talk to you and with you about the online SimaPro platform. I will now share my screen, and maybe you can confirm that it's actually showing, that it's available to the group. I think you're on mute at the moment, Jessica.
Yes, it's already showing. It's
yeah, okay, great.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'll during the presentation, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and we'll come back to them later. Let me start by saying thank you for inviting me to present to you today and share with you some insights on the SimaPro online platform, so you can get to know it. And of course, we're really proud of the new additions to SimaPro, and would like you to get familiar with it. So this is an introduction. Like I said, my name is Caspar Hone. I've been with Pre for about 5 years, on and off. My background is in environmental engineering and IT, so I have kind of tried to build a bridge between IT solutions and business needs from a sustainability perspective. So that fits well with what we do at PRE, is develop software to allow you to assess environmental impact and beyond for sustainability performance indicators. I'll start with the second slide. Yeah. So the agenda for today, getting to know the online platform. Yeah, the introductions. Selamat datang, I think you say in Bahasa. The first point will be about PRE and SimaPro in general. I'm aware that most of you are familiar already with SimaPro, I think, but also there are some quite a few people on the call, that on the webinar, that are not yet familiar. So I'll introduce who we are and what the software is. Then we'll go into SimaPro online and the benefits of that. And if time allows, I'll show you a number of things in the actual live environment. So that's a bit of a risk, but I think it will be fine. Okay, so PRE has been around for about 30 years now, and we have a mission to provide the facts to drive positive change. So we want to be able to enable businesses and research to find and assess the facts to drive change for a better world, for more sustainable processes and supply chains. So the way we do that is through building a vibrant ecosystem with, of course, the community that works together to support fact-based sustainability. It's key within PRE that we work in a certain way. It's collaborative, so we don't believe doing things on our own. In a transparent way, and you can also see that in the software we make, that we have transparency as one of the highest values, and continuous innovation. And again, that is done in a network of people working together. So we have been around for 30 years this year, so celebration actually coming up this week. In those years, there were many contributions, for instance, to the Life Cycle Initiative, to the PEF, Product Environmental Footprint Initiative at the European Commission. Recently, also some research programs taking LCA beyond in more at scale and with the modern technologies that are available to us. SimaPro itself comes packaged with many methods, among which a recipe, which is a method developed by PRE. It's been is widely used in the world to combine various impact categories and express them in aggregated scores, as well as the Eco Indicator 99, which is like a method that's still being used. So we've been around and we work together with all the stakeholders and hopefully also with you to keep on innovating and with a common goal for sustainability. So the community is currently spanning across 80 countries. And you see in this picture where we are with all the partners we have. So like, for instance, let's say Indonesia is there. So we partner in all those countries with local experts who can who help each other to disseminate the software and the solutions that we can provide. And there's an active community. I think you are a part of that. You can also sign up with our newsletter, and ask each other questions, and that's very vibrant and active. We currently have at least 3,000 active users as LCA experts, and then an additional thousands of users that use the more business side solutions, results of the LCA software models. Okay, so these are the logos we work for in PRE. in the Netherlands. So we have quite some big companies and that we work with globally, like P&G, Unilever, Noble, Siemens, Heineken, you know probably. And then as well like the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, who is textile, as you know, and apparel. Some banks, which is quite recent. We've also been working on projects with banks to look at sustainability of investments, specifically around biodiversity, and so on. So what about SimaPro? It can be the software you have. It can be, or you need to get familiar with. Can be used for many applications. So we see in the market it's used a lot for carbon and water footprinting, more for full LCA studies as well as screening studies. Also connecting the software to other tools, and later we will get into the online platform where we actually have invested into a REST API, which allows an easy integration with other tools as well. And the desktop version that you're familiar with comes with import-export as well as a COM interface, so you can connect it to other data. Recently, of course, the product environmental footprint is one frequently seen use case where we try to, as a community, come up with standardized models that you can easily exchange and compare according to the product category rules set by the Commission. And also creating EPDs is one frequently seen use case. So those come in the form of a nice report often that can be sent along when clients are procuring their product as a way of declaring the environmental performance. And then in recent years, we also see more and more company use that actually measure the trends of how they're doing with their sustainability overall, and try and measure at scale the sustainability of their supply chains or of their suppliers, and not looking at a single product, but actually looking at an entire portfolio or an entire organization or entire supply chain. And for that, I think it's also relevant that we have technology that can support that, and that's why we've started to build and invest into the online platform that I'll get into in a minute. So, what is the online platform? The SimaPro has started as a robust desktop solution that you're familiar with, and we have now extended it with online services. So it's not replacing the desktop version, it's just giving it more power so you can do more with it. And it allows a further business usage. So we believe that the desktop version is very much focused on smaller teams or individuals. And with the addition of the online platform, you can expand into the more bigger community, where the business community, for instance, or your stakeholders are also engaged in the results of the LCA. So that means with the online platform, you can fuel the interaction between, within teams, collaboration in teams, or in the classroom and setting, and also allow the stakeholders to actually see your results in the browser and play with them, so they're more interactive together with yourselves as experts in the LCA. Right. So we focus on making solutions available that give instant results. We see that people who are not necessarily specialists in the domain still want to understand it and assess how they're doing, but may not have the time to dive into all kinds of details or follow long training. So we make sure that the tools are giving instant results and are easy to understand. Still, at the same time, it has to remain robust. You see often little tools that can give you quick insights into something, but then once that's given, you cannot do much more with it, or you cannot update easily in the future. So with combining the SimaPro engine and the additional applications online, you can keep your systems flexible and easy to update and expand over time. So that's one of the core strengths of using the SimaPro platform as in combination with the expert modules. Then it's of course deployed online. So technically it's cloud infrastructure, which allows you to make use of it on a 7x24 basis. And as mentioned before, allows you to deploy applications that can be used at large scale. So cloud is theoretically infinitely scalable. So with the tools online, you can also make use of that modern IT technology. Right. Now, beyond the software, there's of course the data. You're used to having extended set of data already prepackaged in the software, and with the online version, we can even go beyond that. So you can see on the website there's a marketplace to download extra data sets or subscribe to additional data. And some of the databases that don't easily fit in your local version can also be deployed more easily in a cloud version. Also, there's the community and ourselves partners and pray to make available certain models for industry-specific solutions. And we can share those with the online version really easy. So you get ready-made models, and I'll show you one of them in a minute. So we've developed now a packaging module together with industry. That is not just the software, but it also has all the logic behind it that allows you to assess packaging alternatives in a consistent fashion. Now, the other nice benefit of the online suite of applications is that it runs in the browser, so you do not need any specific infrastructure. You can just run it on almost any device. So together, the desktop and the online platform have a strong combination, and we'll go and have a look what the actual platform looks like in this picture here. So I'll start from the right, which is where the, let's call them business users, so the community who is working with the results of the LCA, not necessarily involved in making the LCA models themselves. So those are on the right, those stakeholders, whereas if you look in the middle, that's more the specialist area for LCA practitioner. So stay on the right. What does the business community need? Well, we see that they're looking for instant results, quick results, specifically tailored to their industry needs. So tailored applications, not a generic toolbox, but specifically applied to their context. And that's possible with these online applications to make those. And what for? So, well, looking at making, so eco-design, making products greener, comparing various alternative scenarios for product design, or having a look at the wider supply chain, and we typically use dashboards for that. So we connect SimaPro with online dashboards, so you can follow over time the performance of your supply chain. And lastly, the EPDs we discussed already briefly. So marketing, communication, and other types of reports at scale. So we see that traditionally it takes quite some time to create one LCA study. And with the newer, later technologies, we're trying to replicate that, so you can faster create those reports, or have one, let's say, one model that can create many reports for many products within the company. So those are kind of the three end user scenarios, end user cases. The the comparative scenarios, the trends and monitors in dashboards, as well as more static reports. If we then shift left a little bit, we see what tools we actually have to allow for this. So we can combine data from other sources with the SimaPro's data through our API, as I explained before. So you can connect existing systems as well, or you can embed the results of the LCA calculations in other systems. So it works two ways. You can consume, or you can use. You can publish the applications. We have free applications in addition to that are here in blue. So those are share, monitor, and report. I'll show you share today. I think that product has been introduced, is quite stable, and we can see some nice examples on how that's being used today. Monitor is more about these dashboards, and report is more for the static EPD type report. Now in the middle you see the new modeling tool. It's fully exchangeable with SimaPro, so you can build something in SimaPro desktop, import it into what we call Flow, which is the visual modeling tool. And I'll also show you that in a minute what that looks like. So it's an online tool where you can create your models and calculate the results and have other features for analysis. And then on the one box to the left, you see the data platform that's coming out early next year. And with that, you can prepare your data if you're a data publisher. So for instance, the new ILCD format has a lot of metadata that you need to manage before you can publish your data or use it. Well, this data tool will make that a lot easier to do that at scale. And then on the left, we actually see how do you get to the data needed for your modeling. So in addition to the generic data sets that are provided as part of the SimaPro license, you can also collect specific data from other systems through the API, for instance, or link them to other databases in the market, or collect them with surveys. So we have a tool called Collect to actually do data collection and link the data collection sheet to your model. So that would be through parameter value, for instance. So you can reuse your same model for multiple cases. And of course, we have the data manual entry. So what you see at the bottom is really that with this larger ecosystem of tools, you can serve both the data providers, the LCA practitioners or experts, as well as the more business users. And that's the big change, I think. It's no longer a tool practice in isolation. It's really working together with the data providers and business users that consume the results. Okay, I think it's time for a demo. For the demo, I will do two things. First, I'll show you a packaging tool that we've made. And second, I'll go into what about if we had to model a bike. So that's an example case. And I can show you how that works by showing the end result, but also showing how you can do that quite rapidly. So I'll go into that. The background you need is that if we make model a bike, then I'm going to use this idea that it has wheels, frame, handlebar, and brakes and saddles. So we'll go into that in a minute. First, let's log in, and I hope that works. So maybe Jessica, you can confirm that you can now see a screen coming up.
Not yet. It's still the slide. Yes, now I can
Yeah.
see. Yep. Great.
So this is an online version. I've logged in Share, and I'm going to show you first the packaging tool that we've made. So with the packaging tool, you can, I'll go to the end user view. You can, as a user, select a number of prepared hotspots that the LCA practitioner has prepared for. So for instance, I'll go and make a scenario. So let's say we have a packaging for the bike. Let's say it's for the bike, and it is consisting of multiple. So maybe one component is has I don't know, 200 grams of weight, and and it's made from let's say it's made from I don't know, some plastic PET. So I save it. So now I've already created a number of scenarios here. So you see a standard scenario, then you see an EPS scenario that's with recycled content, then an EPS scenario without recycled content, and now our custom scenario, which we will call PET. And with this, I can now compare these different scenarios by looking at the results that are displayed here. See easily which of these alternative scenarios is most beneficial for the environment. So in this case, it looks like our baseline performs best. This can be quite overwhelming for business users, so we can select that we do not show all the impact categories, for instance. We can also make other choices for them to have a quick look. But this tool allows you to quickly declare your packaging and see how it relates to a baseline scenario, and evaluate what is the best product alternative to use. So this is the reason I showed it. This is quite an easy interface. I think you can see it's easy to change the values here. You don't need any real training, but behind it is an extensive LCA model made by an LCA expert that is not so easy to grasp. But it interconnects. So using the LCA model, this allows quick end user tool to compare packaging. Okay, I'll close this preview and actually go to another demo, which will be the bike. So let me do it now. Demo version here. Probably have to log in again. So now I'm going to my bike. Go first to the overall. I prepared the end results. This is the bike model where we have a similar setup where you can compare scenarios for a bike, how it's composed. For instance, we can make choices around the type of frame and the weight of the frame, or maybe how the transport mode between the factory and the retail is. So let's have a look. I'll run a scenario for the frame. So we have already prepared a standard aluminum frame. I've prepared a steel frame. Let's make another scenario. And for this one, I'll go and say it's a carbon frame, or we can say it's a titanium frame. Let's say it's a bit lighter than the existing frames. And we'll give it a name here so it's clear. Okay. So I've changed the material and I've changed the weight. I'll change the transfer just to say it's by truck, for instance. And now instantly I can see the results of my new bike frame choice. It is performing, I guess, similar to the steel frame in this case, but definitely different than the aluminum frame. So you see how quickly I can kind of vary various scenarios in this online tool called Share. Now let's go and have a look what's behind this model. And I'll do that by overwhelming you by having a look at the canvas that makes up this model. So this is where all the processes will be displayed in a visual way on a canvas. So it's quickly easy to see how the structure of the model looks. And allows you to also interact with that. And we'll do that also in a minute. So I can not only see how the model is structured, but I can also change it inside this interface. So here is the prepared model. You can see it's a bike. It's made of a frame, a saddle, some packaging, a wheel, a handlebar, set of brakes, and some other things. And includes also a piece of the factory that assembles the bike. Now let's have a look what this tool does. So this is the canvas, right? I explained. I can move it around. I can, if I like to see it in a different setup, I can rotate this image, but I kind of like it top down. I can easily add a new process if I want to, or I can go into an existing process. I can expand and see what's inside the saddle, for instance. And what you see here with these orange colored boxes, pinkish orange, those are actual boxes that, processes that came from a library, in this case, Acorn. Here I've clicked to get a few new processes. So let's say this bike has a bell as well, so that's rings, yeah. And I'll connect that to my bike by moving it around. Or I can go into the actual process itself, and here there's a connection. So you have now added the bell to the bike assembly. Let's have a look what the process looks like in a list, so it's easier to understand. So I go into my list of processes. Here are all the processes. I may go into, for instance, steel frame to have a look what makes up the steel frame. And in there it will be a form that's loading. And I'm sorry, I think the Zoom connection is playing a little bit of part on the speed of my browser. But it's coming. So there it is, yeah. So here's the process form. It has a number of tabs. So for instance, this steel frame has the inputs of other processes, as you are familiar with in regular SimaPro. You can also declare the substances. So those are the emissions or raw material used. And you can also collect data if you don't know. So that's using the collect tool that I haven't shown yet. So here you see the process form. What it makes up is steel frame. For instance, it's a production of the 8 kilograms of steel. What you see here is a little tag icon, which means that this is not just a number, it's actually a formula. And we can go and have a look what that looks like. It says this is not just 8, it's actually the parameter called weight steel. So you saw in the previous screen where I varied the weight of the frame, that the weight was variable, was a parameter, and this is how that's done. So you set it up as a variable parameter rather than an actual number. I can go into that a little bit to show you the parameters here. So this is the parameters screen, and you see again all the parameters used in this model. With the if there is a formula behind it, it will show the formula here. So we have 2 wheels, for instance. And I can put a default value, put a comment, but I can also connect it to a so-called collect survey. Let me go into that for a minute. Here's one collect survey that is very simplistic. It's an entry form. We give it a name, so entry form, for instance. And I can say this is about the frame composition and make a question available. What type of material is it? And I can make a table question as an expert to actually create that question answer. And then I can have a look what the end user who has to fill in the survey will actually have to fill in. We don't do that. I think it's waiting a bit here. I think I clicked too fast now.
Yeah, I think the Zoom affected the speed.
Yeah, and I'm also on a wireless connection, so I think it's my house also. We'll see. There it is. So this is what the end user will get in their mailbox, invite to actually fill in this questionnaire where they can specify what is being asked. So what the material description for the component gear, for instance. They have a selection of what to choose: steel, titanium, fiber, whatever. The amount of kilograms. Now, this tool collect is really a simple data collection tool where you can set up these surveys, define all kinds of questions, send them out, and the results after they are being returned are included in your LCA model. So that saves you a lot of time in collecting data from your stakeholders that have the data you need to model your LCA. Okay, I'll go back now. I think it's good to have another look at the interface, what's available. I've explained now the flow canvas, which is the online modeling tool. If I already have a model, I can import my existing model from SimaPro desktop by pressing import, and it will just ask me to browse for a file, and it will take it. Let me see how I'm going wrong there. I'm not going to import something now. It was just to show you that it's possible. The other things I can do, sorry, I go back to my guide, it's a simple model. I can select all kinds of libraries that are included in the online platform, similar to what you are used to in the SimaPro desktop version. So here's the Eco Event library. Nice features also, if I have used the library, I can switch it if I wanted to. The model itself I can also manage. So I own this model now, but let's say I want to pass it to another owner, then I can do it here. That's nice and easy for the online version, so you can collaborate. What we also see is it's being used a lot in classroom environments where students make models and pass it over to a teacher, for instance, to verify things like that. What else can I show you here? Right, so we've seen the canvas, we've seen parameters, and parameters are also useful when using the API because you can insert data from another system into the parameters. I haven't seen a calculation yet, so let's do a quick calculation. I'll go to the prepared bike model here and run a calculation for you. We've of course seen the calculation on a share site. but we can also run it from here. I have to select a top process in the chain. So I'm selected bike assembly using method IPCC to calculate the global warming effect, and no other choices. There's another advanced feature to make groupings in your results. I'm not going into that at the moment, so I'll just calculate now, and now it will run the calculation engine that's behind this model. It's quite an extensive model, so it needs some time. And will return the results on screen. So the results are shown in a graph and as well as tables, and are exportable for further use if you want to. Or as we've seen, you can make an interactive report out of it, where you can deploy your and share your results with other users. So this is the result, nice graph, where we see that the frame has the largest impact compared to the rest of the model. And we have all these tables to back that up, including the foreground model, where we define the various components of the model, as well as all the tier 2, in this case tier 2 processes from our library of Ecoinvent data, where we see where the actual emissions occurred in mainly material production. Okay. If you select a different method, you have more results. Like certain methods will allow you to look at the results at different levels, like damage assessment, normalization, weighting, and even a single score. You can also go and have a look in what are all the substances, the inventory of substances, as well as all the processes in this model, and have the actual results for that. So it's quite an extensive list of results to go through as an LCA practitioner. Okay. One thing that's maybe interesting to mention is that we make a distinction between products and processes. The reason is that you have a theoretical possibility that the product is produced using different means. So you can have one product, the same product processed by a different method. Let's say method 1 and method 2. So you can have the same product but different methods specified, and the list of products will therefore be comprehensive, and combined with different processes will give you quite a few technical choices. Okay, we've looked at the share model, which was this scenario tool, as well as the collect, which was a survey tool. We looked at the libraries. I didn't show the methods yet, but you have all your methods that you're used to in this online version as well, and it's fully compatible with the methods that you know from the desktop version. And you can also create your own method, and it's really useful if you want to use an existing method, for instance, take a few impact categories, but not all of them, but only the ones you're measuring. You can create your own method easily by building on top of all these available methods, or even create your own method if you're really into it with your own characterization factors. And then lastly, there's a set of general data, all the substances, the geographies, the units and the quantities that you need to make your models. And again, you can use what comes out of the box, what's in the library, or you can create your own if you wanted to make your own substance, for instance. Okay, and lastly, we have support. So there's online support in the SimaPro Help Center, which you are maybe familiar with. It's the web support, as well as our specialists or local contacts to help you with using the tool to its best potential. So I'll go back to the PowerPoint now. I think we are, I've given you a quick introduction into what you can do with the tool, showed you the different components that make up the the front end for the business users, the back end for data collection, as well as the modeling in the middle, and the integration with your existing SimaPro desktop environment. So I think at that point it's time for some questions, if there are any. Yes, have you seen any questions arriving by any chance?